Many of you may not be aware that there are millions of traitors living in the U.S. who want to see our country's downfall. And you would probably think that these traitors would be illegals or foreigners living in our country with visas, right? Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. In fact, 90% of American traitors were born and raised in the U.S., and the majority of them want to see the country brought to ruin. Now, some of you might believe that this current destruction and chaos seen throughout America is just biblical prophecy being fulfilled, but I see it as just another man-made catastrophe orchestrated by a few evil trillionaires who want to destroy our country's sovereignty like they did with Venezuela, Greece, Argentina, and Japan. After Trump was elected as president of the United States and started draining the swamp of corrupt politicians, agents, and military personnel, an evil president reared its ugly head in Congress, the media, and in Hollywood. For decades, American presidents have sold the American people down the drain for personal gain and have shown an unfound loyalty to the deep state trillionaires and bankers. It is no secret that our government officials are selected and funded by the deep state, or shadow government, as some people like to call them. These unseen people determine years in advance who our presidents will be, and they also decide which person get elected to lead positions in the CIA, FBI, Department of Justice, and the NSA. The deep state are wealthy trillionaires who don't have the American citizens' best interests at heart. It is their goal to enslave every American and profit from their labor and the labor of their children's children. The deep state have tens of thousands of operatives working for them in every sector of our country. Some of them are people whom you admire or consider friends, such as politicians, professors, pastors, lawyers, policemen, newsmen, and even college students. You can spot a deep state operative by their demeanor and actions. They tend to have very radical views and are very dogmatic and outspoken about their beliefs. They usually support radical and progressive agendas that are not in the best interest of all Americans, such as open borders, uncontrolled immigration, sanctuary cities for illegal criminals, high taxes on the middle class, and the abolishment of parts of the Constitution. There are also brainwashed pawns who are usually targeted at an early age during their college years, where they are taught a radicalized doctrine by the deep state professors. These sacrificial pawns are used to promote and push the deep state's agenda to the public through stage sit-ins and street protesting. However, not all pawns are students. Some are unemployed citizens who are paid by the cabal to participate. Many do not agree with the cabal agenda, but need the money to provide for themselves. Those are the ones you see in the protest group that have less than enthused facial expressions. The sad part is that many of these law-abiding liberals will be caught up in the violence of the extreme leftists and get prosecuted for their association simply because they needed the money. And many of them have no idea they are supporting the wrong team. Since Trump initiated his swamp draining agenda, many deep state sleeper cells have been activated and given orders to destroy President Trump and his administration and anyone who supports him. These sleeper cells became visible rapidly as renowned politicians, government officials, news anchormen, musicians, and actors began attacking Trump non-stop. Even a few Republicans were exposed as deep state operatives working against Trump in the U.S. Nearly all were forced to resign or prevented from seeking re-election in 2020. And it was stated on live TV that a high-ranking Republican had been put to death for treason against the U.S. But we true patriots never speak his name. Then there are these two extreme groups called Antifa and Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, do absolutely nothing to protect black lives. Anyway, a lot of these idiots have begun attacking and harassing people in public who disagree with their sick views and agenda. You need to know that these people want to eliminate the Constitution, flood our country with millions of dangerous illegal immigrants, and destroy our country's national sovereignty. If Hillary Clinton had won the election in 2016, the U.S. would have already been at war with several countries now, and our economy would have already collapsed, and you wouldn't have enough food or money to provide for yourself, let alone your family. Those pawns you see standing outside the White House and on the steps of the Supreme Court are so brainwashed, they are like lambs to the slaughter and are incapable of thinking rationally for themselves. They are blindly following the radical rhetoric of their Democratic leaders in Congress, and they believe they can overthrow the U.S. government with bully tactics and verbal threats of violence, but they are sadly mistaken. These people are sick, and they need to be put down before someone really get hurt. You deep state pawns need to know that President Trump and his military will not sit idly by while you wreak havoc all over the U.S. Your violence will be met with swift force, and you will be arrested and prosecuted for treason and hate crimes against humanity. But to the few of you who still have a brain that works, do you really think those foreign trillionaires are going to send their lawyers over to the U.S. to bail you out of jail and represent you at your military court hearing? And do you really think they're going to provide you with a job once you're released from prison for treason against your country? Nah, I don't think so. Your whole life will be destroyed because you didn't have the guts or the common sense to think for yourself. I can tell you with absolute confidence that no one from the deep state cabal will be coming to your rescue, as many of them will also be tried, jailed, and put to death for treason. And don't you dare shed a tear when the judge sentences you to life in prison or to death for your criminal actions. No one, and I mean no one, will be spared the rod of justice for trying to overthrow our government. And it won't matter if you're 16 or 85 years old. If you do the crime, you will be dealt with swiftly, and you can believe that. And to those of you making threats of gun violence at the midterm and 2020 elections, know that your days amongst the living are numbered if you get caught using a firearm in public against innocent people. You cabal livers and extreme leftists should know one thing. This is not a game. President Trump military knows your plans and are prepared to shut you down permanently should you strike. Right now, you have the opportunity to change your mind and course of action. Whatever you're planning is not worth the price you'll pay. Don't throw your whole life away supporting a few old rich men's agenda for world dominance. If you think your life is bad right now, just think how much worse it'll be once you're locked up for life or put to death for treason. Again, this is not a game, people. You should know that George Bush Jr. declared war after the 9/11 attack, and that order has not been rescinded yet. That means any crime you commit against America or its citizen is a federal offense, punishable by death or life in prison. Understand that there will be no coming back once you have committed a crime against humanity or your country. President Trump has no intention of letting you or the deep state destroy America. So I'm urging you to think hard about what you are about to get yourself involved in. That especially goes out to you African Americans who don't have a stake in the fight either way. Nothing you do will grant blacks more rights, privileges, or benefits. You will just be another black person locked up for life or put to death for your stupidity. Don't be a pawn in the deep state sick game against your own country. Instead, choose #walk away and simply walk away from this democratic madness. Then join the millions of patriots who are backing President Trump's agenda to make America great again for all Americans. But first, you have to put down the bat, the chains, and the guns and walk away from violence. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Stop listening to fake news and your corrupt politician. You have a phone and a laptop. Do your own research and discover what the deep state true agenda is for America and its citizen. Because anyone who is participating in the democratic fight against their own government is participating in their own destruction. American patriots will stand and defend the United States and our Constitution with our last breath. For we know that no matter how imperfect America is, It is still the only place in the world where we can be free to live our lives as we see fit without the fear of oppression and prosecution by evil foreign dictators. May God give you the strength to do the right thing by joining us in supporting our president and country. Again, hashtag walk away. Just walk away.